Okay, let's welcome him in. Bruce Boudreau, former NHL head coach, 617 career wins. Doing some great stuff now in the media. Gabby, we're just talking about a guy like Matt Rempe and how he came gangbusters into the league and now finds himself suspended 4 games. So before we get into any more detail, just give us your early thoughts of hearing 4 games.
Well, I just think the league, I think I was listening to you just now, and I mean, they're saying, whoa, slow down, young man. Like, I mean, you're coming in here like gangbusters. We're not going to let you rule the roost right now. We've been trying to get this stuff out of the game, and you're coming in and changing the landscape again. So I think if this was just, say, a normal guy, I think it would have been 1 or 2 games. But I think they're trying to send a message to this young man that cool it, just cool it. I know you're big and you're popular as hell right now in New York, but this is just calm down, kid.
Gabby, I saw someone say that I think he fought just 11 times in 157 junior games or something like that, like, once every 15 games or so. And, none of these sorts of hits. But what is it right now that he feels like he has to do this to stay in the league? Is it necessary that he be playing the way he is for him to be impactful?
Well, I think, first of all, in junior, he's bigger than everybody. Who's going to fight him?
That's a great point.
Curtis McDermott.
A lot of the guys
that's who's going to fight him.
Younger, too. Like now he's against men. Yeah. And all these guys that have done it for a living, especially the first couple game when you see Delorier and Olivier, they're going, oh my God, we've got a new piece of meat in here. Let's try this new guy. Let's take care of this guy. But and at the same time, he's become incredibly popular in New York. And Peter's sending him out there to change momentums of games. And I think he's going, you know what? If I can continue to do this and do this well, I'm going to make some money in this league. So, I think he's liking what he's doing. And the league's just saying, okay, calm down a little bit right now.
I want to get your thoughts and maybe, JB, yours as well here in terms of what I'm hearing in the last little while from various shows, podcasts. What I've seen on the internet is that Rempe didn't follow the code. And if he would have accepted the fight maybe earlier from Curtis McDermott, maybe this might have not led to a head injury, maybe not. But where are you on the fact that he declined the invitation of Curtis McDermott to start the game?
I would have bet that Peter said, I don't want you going out there fighting right now. Because a young guy that's been in the league 10 games, he's listening to his coach. You saw him in Toronto. He looked over at his coach and said, should I fight this guy? And they were going to say McDermott was brought here only for the reason of fighting you. You fight him on your terms. Kyper, you've been there many times, putting the guy in the position where it's your advantage type thing rather than fighting him that he wanted. Probably McDermott wanted New Jersey to get going right off the bat, and why give him that satisfaction? Now, I've never fought a soul in my life. I couldn't beat up my wife, but so I probably wouldn't have accepted it either. But in the code, you've been fighting everybody else. You're on the ice and I'm on the ice. We both know what should happen. And maybe he should have done it.
Off those words, Sammy, do we have Curtis McDermott's soundbite after the game?
We do. Derek, you got that?
Let's play that real quick here.
First shift, I asked him. There's a bit of a code, and I thought he would have answered that, but I don't know what he was told, but he said no. And, after a hit like that, it kind of goes without saying you should answer the bell in some way and be a man about it. And then game goes on, then he throws another hit like that, gets kicked out, and possible suspension. So there's a right way to go about things and a wrong way, and I kind of lost a lot of respect for him tonight.
Now, I didn't hear all the clips from post game. Did Peter Laviolette say anything publicly about that? I would hope if the instructions were to Matt Rempe to don't fight him, I would hope my coach would have my back and say, listen, I'm following my coach's rules or decisions. I'm not sure if anything was said or not.
Well, I don't know if anything was said. I do think this, though. I think Peter wanted him to fight against Ryan Reeves. When they were down 3-2, they were looking for a little jump. I mean, he kept him on after the 35-second mark with a face-off in their zone, down 3-2. So, I mean, I'm thinking at that point he wanted the jump, but at this time, Ethan, let's do it on our terms, I guess. I don't know, for a young guy not to accept it, though, Kyper, don't you think that that's sort of the wrong way to go about it when he's doing this to everybody else?
Listen, in the year 2024, I'm not going to sit here and tell somebody he should fight if he thinks he shouldn't fight. Like, there's so much risk here. It's such a personal decision to drop your gloves.
Okay.
But I'm just saying, from Bruce's comments, listen, I took out a Hall of Fame goaltender in Grant Fuhr. Okay? I didn't fight Tony Twist the rest of the playoffs, but I sure as hell knew what was coming the next season.
Mm-hmm.
And the first game we played against St. Louis, Ty's like, you don't have to fight him. And I'm like, no, I have to fight him. Okay? Because I'm not going to have everybody tell me that I hurt a Hall of Fame player and I didn't answer to it. Mm-hmm. Me personally, I thought Rempe needed to take that fight against McDermott just based on the fact that there was so much history on taking out Bastian.
Yeah.
So in the old days, for me personally, I would have had to have said, I can't move forward. People will lose respect for me if I didn't take that fight and answer to my own doing. So to Bruce's point, yes, there's a certain message here saying, listen, if you're gonna run around like a human missile out there, like someone's gonna eventually call you out on it. Like maybe if you don't take the fight, which again, it's your choice not to, but here are the ramifications. People are gonna lose a little respect for you.
Yeah, Bruce, have you ever coached anyone like this before? Have you had to deal with players where, there's the expression, better to tame a tiger than paint stripes on a pussycat? This is really a tiger they're trying to tame. Have you had players like that where it's tough to rein them in?
Well, listen, I had George Peros right after he left Princeton, and he came to Manchester with me. And you know what? Like, I didn't tell him to fight or whatever, but he fought every game. He wanted to prove that he was a tough guy, and he did prove that he was a tough guy. But I mean, he was looking for it right from the beginning, and you'd have to sort of rein him in. The one guy I had to rein in was my line mate, was Mick Vukota.
Oh,
back in the 80s.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he fought in 22 straight games in the American League. It was
22 straight games?
I think that's a record. Yes, because I remember grabbing him and saying, Mick, you do not have to fight every shift out there, and he ended up becoming a pretty solid NHL player for a long time. But, I mean, every team has guys that know that's their job. I've coached Donald Brashear and been on a team with Marty McSorley and all of those guys. They know they know, like, I mean, that's part of the job. It's not their only job. We want them to play hockey, but it is part of their job. And I mean, it was years ago, but and I think this Rempe knows that that's part of his job. He wouldn't be up there if they were in looking for a playoff spot and they needed it. They lost Panarin. He's not going to be the guy that's called up. So, I mean, he knows what he has to do if he wants to stay in the NHL, I think.
Gabby, were you gone by the time Tom Wilson got to Washington?
They had drafted him, but I hadn't coached him. I was gone when he came up the next year.
Okay, and I'm not comparing Tom Wilson to Rempe, but there's a lot of people screaming that Tom Wilson was nothing but a goon when he first came in. I don't know if he had 2 goals in 80 games, and people were sitting there, get rid of him, get him out of the league. I'm not saying that Rempe's going to turn into Tom Wilson, but there is some upside in Matt Rempe.
But he's 21.
Moving forward here, on a forecheck, on a skate, on a eventual maybe 10 goals. I don't know, but there's so much upside here that to Justin's point, maybe it's just curtailing him a little bit and trying to work with him. But there's so much upside still on this guy.
Absolutely. Like, I mean, he can skate. He's 6'8". He's got a great reach. He doesn't mind going to the hard areas. And when you've got and you know yourself, when you've got a guy that can be physical and can play the game, and you can end up putting him out there in defensive zone situations and that, boy, you've got a real find. And that's what I think Washington thought of when Tom Wilson was running around. Yeah, we got to rein him in a little bit. But if we work with this guy in a couple of years, he's going to be a really good player.
Yeah.